Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very somber and upsetting and shocking, to say the least, episode of Dank Times Danker Thoughts, episode 96. Well, I plan to talk about a lot of fun things this episode, mainly my first foray into online dating in quite some time, update you on some of Kiwi is selling some of her feet pics now, which is something I introduced her to. I wanted to talk about that hot Down syndrome Victoria's Secret model, and I wanted to talk about some new music releases, and I did want to briefly touch on some news topics such as Canada and COVID and whatnot, but Jesus Christ, World War III broke out, and I've kind of been in a dark place, kind of scrambling for sanity the last few days. So I thought, what the fuck? Let me start a podcast a couple days late and kind of just bear it all out to y'all, because I'm sure, like me, the mass majority of you are utterly appalled at what Vladimir Putin and Russia is doing to Ukraine. It's war. It's war. There's no other way to put it. And I'm happy that the Biden administration is putting some harsh sanctions on. I see that most European countries are doing the same, or just the majority of the world leaders are doing the same. I'm not going to bullshit you and say thoughts and prayers for Ukraine. I don't believe in that nonsense. You can put a badge photo on your Facebook page or post a Ukrainian flag on your Instagram. That ain't going to do shit. Do what you can to support the Ukrainian people, either financially, by voting, by maybe taking them in if it gets that bad. I have already reached out to my Ukrainian friend, my lady friend that we bumped uglies a couple months ago when she was in port here from the cruise ship for a couple days. I've kept in touch with her since. She lives in Ukraine with her mother and younger sister. I've been talking to her the last few days, and she's heartbroken, to put it mildly. I offered my condolences. I offered anything that I can do. And I told her, if shit hits the fan and you need to flee Ukraine, you got plenty of space here. Come on over. Bring mom, bring the sis. And she said all the right things. Thank you. That's very nice. But let's hope it doesn't get to that point, because that means the world is ending for the most part. But good God. Something else that's really upsetting me is that I was wrong about all of this. If you listen to my podcast on the reg, you've heard me talk about for the last few months, few weeks even, that I did not think that Putin would invade Ukraine. I thought it was all a bunch of bluster and hot air, because he's done this his entire reign. And specifically with Ukraine, since the Crimea assault, in 2012, 2014, I honestly thought that nothing would happen. And I said so. And most journalists and media that I trust were saying the same thing. I turned my nose up at the Biden administration, saying that war between Russia and Ukraine was imminent. Well, he was saying it was imminent for weeks and it never happened. So how can you believe them? I had a hard time believing the intelligence community, because their track record is spotty at best. But turns out they were right. And it still pains me to know that Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, has been begging us and other United Nations to put sanctions on Russia before the invasion happened. Why wait, he said. And he was right. We should have put tough sanctions on Russia months ago, if not years ago. And now that it looks like Ukraine is due to fall any day now, I mean, the Russian military is just too much. It's just too much. And Belarus, those cocksuckers are helping them. I'm hearing reports out of Eastern Europe that a lot of neighboring countries are wary of taking in Ukrainian refugees at this point, either because of racism, ideological differences, or they don't want to piss off Russia. But you got to take them in. You have to. I got to give massive credit to Ireland. Their president said, no visas, no passports needed. Ukrainian, come on over. We'll give you an airplane and come on over. I hope America does the same. I hope all United Nations do the same. But it's just sickening to me, because it doesn't make sense for this to happen. nobody, and I mean nobody, in terms of other presidents, even dictators, are on Russia's side on this. No one is agreeing with Russia on this. The fact that he did it so swiftly, almost, it wasn't a secretively, but there was no altercation with Ukraine before this. There was no cyber attack. There was no spying. There was no anything to kick this off. I mean, Vladimir Putin, if you listen to that 1 hour rambling speech he gave the night or 2 nights before the actual invasion of Ukraine, he sounded like a madman, even more so for him, because if you've followed geopolitical politics of the last few decades, you'll know that Putin is batshit crazy. He basically got elected by the oligarchs and does whatever they say. He can even blame the oligarchs for whatever Russia's woes are, but yet he still gets elected. And it's just earth-shattering to me that he did this, because he knows it's economic doom. He knows that it's not going to be popular within Russia. And in fact, the day of the war kicking off, there was hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters all over Russia, anti-war protests, which of course got broken up and hundreds of people got arrested. Let's just hope they got arrested, nothing worse. There's a global disdain for what Vladimir Putin did and is currently doing. But what are we going to do? What does that mean? Does that mean boots on the ground, military action? I certainly hope not, but if this offensive continues, which all indications show that it is, I don't know what other options we have. I don't want to go in it alone. I would like it to be a united front with as many NATO nations as possible. But I mean, that's nuclear winter Holocaust talk right there. And by the way, I don't like these comparisons between Putin and Hitler. Vladimir Putin is not Adolf Hitler, so you got to stop that. This country needs to stop just pulling out the A+ words for everything. Vladimir Putin is a pariah. He is vile. He is a villain. He is a bastard. He is a cunt. However, he is not Adolf Hitler. Until he starts executing millions or thousands of people based on differences of sexual orientation or race, then you can call him a Hitler wannabe. But currently he is not. And let me go back to his rambling speech he gave a couple days ago. The first part of it, I will maybe give Putin the benefit of the doubt when he was blaming NATO for an overreach and whatnot. Now, I am no expert on NATO, obviously. I don't think I need to say that. But to me, I don't know why there was not a NATO vote years ago whether or not to let Ukraine in. Does Ukraine even want to be part of NATO? Will Ukraine be not part of NATO, but like still a strategic ally, but not in name only? Does that make sense? Like, they're not in NATO, but they kind of are, because we're still going to protect them. You can't force different forms of government on nations that do not want it. China and Russia do not want democracy. They do not want NATO. They want things their own way. They want communism. And when you have nations bordering those countries, maybe it's not such a good idea to just bring them into NATO, no questions asked. You got to let the people vote, and you have to be strategic about it. Zelensky was out here talking weeks ago, days ago, about NATO, saying, if you want us in NATO, tell us. If you don't want us in NATO, tell us. We have to get clarification on this so that when Putin eventually does attack, which he did, so now we know NATO has nothing to do with the attack on Ukraine, but that you can't hide behind that excuse. Well, it was never done. And Putin used that NATO bullshit excuse as one of his many reasons to go after Ukraine. Now we know it was lies. It was lies. The other part of that speech was the truly horrifying part of it, calling Ukraine not even an independent nation. They owe their lives to Russia. Ukraine is actually part of Russia. And that there was Nazis in Ukraine. What's up, LaFondo? And that just more shit like that just made no sense, but it really showed his true colors. I mean, that was him putting his cards on the table. It's nothing to do with NATO, nothing at all. Has nothing to do with that pipeline, which, by the way, was natural gas, not oil. So my bad on that. Vladimir Putin just wants to bring back the Iron Curtain, that USSR baby. In that same speech, he was condemning his past leaders before him about how weak and spineless they were, how they were willing to work with the West and NATO against Russia's own interests. I mean, that's truly the horrifying but real part of that speech, was Putin saying the quiet part loud, in my opinion. And then the next day, the shit hit the fan, and it seemed like everybody was surprised by this. Now, the sanctions are hitting banks, they're hitting individual oligarchs. I don't know if it's going to do anything. It looks to me that China is working with Russia on this, so any kind of economic turmoil that the West is hoping to put on Russia, China will help alleviate some of it. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. And don't be surprised if China doesn't use this as an excuse to start taking over their neighbors, such as Hong Kong, Tibet, and Taiwan. They've wanted them shits forever. And now that the world is busy looking at Russia and Ukraine, well, China may see Ukraine as an extendage of Taiwan and Tibet and Hong Kong. How could it not be? In fact, they were one of the few nations to not condemn Russia on the Ukraine conflict. The other big one was India, but that has its own geopolitical reasons because they border China. They don't want to start more shit. So, say what you will about this war, because it is a war. This is the first European war since World War II, to my knowledge. I don't know if sanctions are going to work. I hope they work. I hope that diplomacy can reign and Russia will back off. I can't imagine they are. And if I was a citizen in any former USSR country right now, I'd be holding my breath. I have friends in Moldova, Lithuania, Prague, and Hungary. They're all scared. How could they not be? Why would Russia stop at Ukraine? If they get Ukraine, which it looks like they will in a matter of days, if not weeks, well, then they'll turn their eyes to another one, the Baltics, if you will. And now you have a whole new World War III in our hands between Russia and China against the West. And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? There's nuclear weapons, there's biological, chemical warfare weapons, there's digital weapons. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, I don't know how we're still doing these things in 2022. The kind of shit we're seeing today between Russia and Ukraine is straight out of the 1950s, maybe 1970s at the latest. I mean, this is just not what happens. And I don't know what Vladimir Putin is thinking. Because, again, it's not popular within Russia. I was reading an article before I started recording that something like 20% of Russian voters actually support taking over Ukraine. Well, that's 20%. And that's why you see hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters on the first day. Now, they're all getting arrested and probably sent off to Siberia for for education training, quote unquote. But, I mean, Jesus Christ. Who would have thought this would have happened? I sure didn't. It sickens me. It really does. There's already reports of a few hundred casualties in the Ukraine. And I just don't see a good end to this. I just am crossing my fingers and praying to whatever God is listening that a country won't say fuck it and start opening up their nuclear arsenal. I hope that doesn't happen. What I truly hope happens is that some hero of Russia assassinates Vladimir Putin and maybe a few of his cronies, because I can't imagine a boots on the ground military conflict. Well, to put it mildly, it's not going to be good or beneficial. I mean, it's 2022, guys. Do we really want World War III, troops, airplanes, ships, all amassing? Do we want another big, giant global war? I mean, we were doing so good. We were doing so good in that department. But I tell you, it really depresses me to think in my 35 years, I have seen some wild, truly horrific, awful, vile shit happening in my lifetime, which the previous generations had not anything like that. They didn't have to put up with any of that shit. I was talking to my mom about this. I said, I just wish that my generation got the boomer treatment and had 50 years of progress in terms of the economy growing, higher wages, cheaper education. You know, the minimum wage you could live off of it. And the list goes on and on and on. And there was reasons why life was so superb back then compared to what it is now, because we were unaware of where the shit was coming from. You know, child slave markets in China and around the world making cheap technology. And there's a reason why you could go to a supermarket and get 60 different brands of cereal. We didn't care how it was done, but it was just there. But the boomers truly had it. Post World War II, a booming economy, politicians were better, the news was better. Society was not good for everyone, of course, people of color, obviously, but when you look at America as a whole, we didn't get that post-war roaring 20s or roaring 70s and 80s and 90s. We didn't get that. In my lifetime, I have seen 9/11. Well, even before 9/11, I saw Columbine. I saw the tech bubble burst and Y2K. And then we saw 9/11. And then we saw how many stock market crashes and economic crashes in the last 20 years, 4 or 5. We saw the longest war in American history. Afghanistan and Iraq puts Vietnam to shame. And the rich got richer, the division kept growing, journalism died. The income inequality is so bad right now that I don't know if it's ever been as bad. I truly think that people are ignorant and mad and they lash out. Whereas I think if education and income was better for everybody, healthcare, I mean, you name it, if things were better, we wouldn't be having this kind of shit, these kind of divisions, this kind of this Civil War mentality that a lot of people talk about. I mean, god damn it all. If we just had 20 years of just fun, I think this generation would not be so nihilistic and depressed and scared. But after all of this, I didn't even mention the pandemic. I didn't even mention global warming, climate change. Fucking boomers don't have to worry about any of that shit. We do. Just think what's happened. What major world events have happened in the last 15 years or last 20 years? Fuck me, man. God damn, the boomers had it good. And I don't blame them. I'm not angry at the boomers. I'm angry that we don't get the same chance. We don't get the same shot. We don't get the same opportunity. They got it, and some squandered it, some embraced it, but the mass majority of them did not know what was happening at the time, just like we didn't. Anyways, it's funny. I wanted to talk about Canada. I wanted to talk about all these different things, and fucking Russia ruined it for everybody. And now when I turn on the news, it's just horror and bloodshed, and I'm just wincing, biting my nails, waiting for China to do something over Taiwan or Tibet or Hong Kong. And then you got India and Pakistan, and it's just, how did we get here? Why does the human race not learn anything through historical context? We just don't. We just give up. We just act without a thought to what long-term effects that could be happening. I mean, look at Canada. I mean, that's an example. I was dismayed beyond belief that Trudeau's Emergency Powers Act was actually polling 60% approval rating, 65% approval rating. I was stunned by that. And I thought, well, Canada's not America. They don't have the same rights we have. But when I was looking at what that Emergency Powers Act is currently doing and what it did to those mass majority peaceful protesters, no, that's not okay. If I was a Canadian citizen, I'd be demanding Trudeau step down immediately. If that kind of shit was pulled in America, bet your ass I'd be asking whatever president, Trump, Biden, Obama, DeSantis, I don't give a fuck who the president is or was, I'd be asking that person to resign. It was a massive overreach in discussing cruelty. But Canada's not US. But suddenly that freedom convoy pales into comparison to what's happening in the world. It really puts things into perspective. So suddenly talking about my kinks and fetishes and ex-girlfriends and online dating and the hot Down syndrome Victoria's Secret model, none of it really matters. None of it really does. You know, I was ready to shit on Tulsi Gabbard some more for her bullshit takes on the Russia conflict. She's still blaming NATO. Still. So, boy, was I wrong on her too. Oh, God. I don't know anymore, man. I try to trust my sources. And more often than not, they are right. But boy, were they off on Russia and Ukraine. God damn it all. So, do what you can, people, for your sanity. I've been smoking. I've been jacking off. I've been eating unhealthy. and it's been cold as balls outside, so I haven't been outside as much. So I've kind of been in a pit of despair, but I think it's warranted after what's been happening in the world. But good God. I do want to give a shout out to some other nations that are holding marches of solidarity with Ukraine. Of course, they're all Eastern European countries: Poland, Romania, Prague, Moldova, Slovakia, Hungary, and I already mentioned Ireland. And I hope America does the same thing. I hope we bring in as many refugees as we can, including those hot Ukrainian women. Bring them all to Auburn, baby. Bring them to my house. I'll check them out. I'll take care of them. Oh God, you just wish you could do more. I wish I could just join some military unit and be flown into Stalingrad or something, and be parachuted down, and I could be taking out the commie trash. You know what I'm saying? Take over the Kremlin. But this ain't a Steven Seagal, Bruce Willis movie. This is real life. But it still is important to note, people, that this is the Russian government, not the Russian people. I hope you guys don't turn racist and hateful towards everyday normal Russian people. Like I said, the support within Russia for this, I heard, is as high as 20%, so that's pretty low. It's just important to know that the Russian people don't necessarily stand with the Russian president, much like the American people did not stand with Trump or Biden on many faults of their own. So anyway, we got to continue, because this is just bringing me down. I mean, they're already circling Kiev. Good God. See, this is another reason why I don't believe in God. I mean, what sane, loving, just God would let this shit happen? But anyway, let's move on to other issues, like I mentioned earlier. Try to liven up this podcast here, because I'm sure most of you are already sad or mopey or putting your head in the sand over this. I mean, I have some friends that don't even want to talk about it because it makes them so upset. And, you know, you can't live in ignorance is bliss. You just can't do that. You need to know what's going on, because that's how you get disconnected from reality and one another. That's why we have such a divisiveness, I believe, in this country, is that we stopped caring. We stopped having empathy. We only started caring about ourselves, what makes us happy, what makes us glad. Any form of discomfort is bad. All you need to do is ask those fucking parents yelling at teacher meetings about critical race theory, or books that are due to be banned. I mean, some of the shit I heard white parents yelling at elected officials in education is just staggering. What you think is the lowest you can go, they find a shovel and they keep digging lower. John Oliver did a great episode on critical race theory. I, for one, am for it. I don't think critical race theory breaks people up by race and makes white kids feel like shit. I believe teachers can do that, and you can't really say a few teachers ruin the entire curriculum. We don't see that for the police. A few bad apples, you know what I'm saying? So we need to understand our history. We need to know reality. We need to hear what the losing side had to say about things. I would love to be told what the Japanese had to say about World War II, what the Vietnamese had to say about Vietnam, what Afghanis and Iraqis have to say about the latest wars. We need to hear from those people. That way you don't have this out of context, delusional outlook on America and what it means to be an American. This nationalistic pride has got to stop. We have to understand there's more than just us here. But anyway, let me get off my soapbox and let's talk about some fun stuff before I jump off my roof and end it all. Well, let's try to get some comedy squeezed into this shit wreck that is the current life of the planet. But like I was saying earlier, I am back on online dating. Oh fuck, why me? And it's pretty bad so far. I've been on for about a week and a half, and I've connected with 20 to 25 ladies, and I would say out of the 20 to 25, 98% of them have been bunk. Just been awful. In fact, I'm only talking to one woman for more than 3 days at this point. The rest have been god-awful, have been bots, spams, been prostitutes, OnlyFans, or they just want me to get in crypto. It's wild out there. And I know, you single ladies out there have it tumultuous online dating, many different reasons. But for guys, you don't know if the profile you're looking at is real or not. You just don't. And you don't want to be too aggressive. I'm not. I try to be funny. I try to be cordial for a little bit. And then once I form some kind of back and forth for a couple days, then I can say, hey, can we send a pic so we know who we're talking to? I don't surprise them with a dick pic. When I say pic, I mean it's really a selfie. And we take it from there. It has not worked this time around, and if I'm being brutally honest, it has not worked in the past at all because your boy is still single. But two things I wanted to bring up. I saw that the girl that I was last seeing, the ones that we call Kiwi, she posted on social media a receipt for feet pics. She sold some jabroni for $30. And I thought, whoa. First off, why are you sharing this? Second of all, what's going on? It was just too much for me to handle because I know this person and she is not the kind of person I thought to send feet pics to a stranger for money. I don't shame or judge her at all. In fact, I've said it once, I've said it again. I don't know why not every single woman, at least in America, doesn't have an OnlyFans at this point. You don't even need to show your face. Just show your feet and you can retire early. So I reached out to Kiwi. I was like, whoa, is this real? And she said, LOL, yeah. Some guy reached out to me wanting feet pics. I thought there was no harm, so I got $30. And I thought, you go, girl. But then I thought, well, shit. I'm the one that opened her up to the whole foot fetish thing. She told me, before me, she never had a guy kiss or suck or put their penis between their feet before, and I was the first. And she liked it. She adored it. That was one of the many things that we liked to do when we were getting frisky. So I feel like I opened her up to this and that I should get a little commission here. I joked with her, I really should get a finder's fee or something of like 10% or something. Because if you start to do this on the reg, well, shit, without me, you wouldn't be doing any of this. Without your foot in my mouth, you may not have taken the chance of sending a stranger your feet pics. So please, at least give me the respect I deserve and give me a little bit. Now, what's 10% on $30? $3? Keep it. But if she's going to start doing this as a side hustle and she'll be getting a couple $100 a day or a couple thou a week, well then yeah, I feel like I should get a little bit hush money, you know what I'm saying? Not so much hush money, but a finder's fee. I found this kink, she enjoyed the kink, and now she's monitoring off of it. Well, I should see some of that cheddar, because without me, she'd be nothing in terms of feet. And I feel like I need to clarify. I don't like all feet. That's why I'm careful when I say that I have a foot fetish. Because I feel like saying a foot fetish means you like all feet, irregardless of what they look like and who they belong to. And that's not me. Out of all my exes, there was only 2 whose feet I wanted in my mouth or any other kind of kinky shit. All the others, no thank you. It's the same thing with ass stuff. I don't mind kissing and licking or doing things to an ass. I really don't. But it's not all asses. It has to be a certain kind of ass. Same thing with the feet. It has to be a level of femininity to it. If I take a chick's socks off and she has big as feet as me and her toenails are crusty and smelly, well then no, I'm not going to go anywhere near that. Same thing with an asshole. She takes down her panties, it just looks like Werewolf Jr. down there. I'm not going to even put myself near 5 feet of it. And I would even say this, same thing with oral sex on a vajayjay. I am very good at it. I look forward to it. In fact, I like all 3 of these things. Feet, booty, vagina, kissing. I like all 3 of them better than sex normally. But I don't put just any vagina in my mouth. Again, it has to be a clean, hygienic, upkept coochie. If it's hairy like a koala, miss me on that. I ain't going near it. So again, you can tell a lot about a lady, how they upkeep their feet, ass, and vagina. That's all I'm trying to say. So I don't think that I have a straight up kink or fetish with those, feet and booties and whatnot, or spanking or whatnot. I really don't think I do. Because it's not for everyone that I show myself to, if that makes any sense. It has to be a specific woman and her accoutrement, to put it lightly, has to fit the bill, so to speak. You may think that's misogynistic. Well, you should do it for everyone. Well, then no. I wouldn't begrudge a woman for not wanting to do oral sex on a guy based on what his penis looks like. I have a lot of male friends who I will imagine their penis is disgusting. So, if I'm with a woman and I'm motioning, hey, do you want to maybe, do a little mouth hug action? And she's like, I said, well, I don't blame you, but let me tell you, my penis is probably the most clean part of my body. And then I show them, and then I tell them, if you don't want to do it, no harm, no foul. But it goes a long way if you do. So if Kiwi decides to do this as a venture, I hope that I get paid what I think I am owed. Now, the second story I want to tell you is I've been online dating on and off the last couple of years. At this point, I think I'm pretty much an expert in telling a fake account right away. And one was able to sneak through and fool me. This is the first time I got fooled in a long time by a fake account. Now, I got a friend request on Facebook from a stranger, but it didn't have any of the red flags that I have seen in the past with fake accounts. Mainly, you can tell a fake account if the photos are so doctored that this woman doesn't even look human. She looks like a prostitute from space. Her tits are enlarged, her waist disappears like an hourglass, then her ass shoots out, or her eyes are the size of an anime character's, and you can just tell if it's all photoshopped, it's a fake. And if it's not a fake, do you really want to be with someone who's that fake and phony? Second of all, you can tell by grammar and sentence structure. You can tell by who their friends are. If you click on the profile and all their photos are nothing but sexual photos, and you look at their friend list and it's all men, and again, not to be racist, but if all the men are Indian and Nigerian, then it's a fake account. But this girl, she said that she was from Bellingham. She was a very above average looking girl, but none of her photos were sexual or even PG-13. She was 26 or 27 and she looked normal. But one red flag to me that I can look back on and say, well, how did you not see this? How did you miss that? Was that she had no friends and she had no posts. It was like the profile was just created. Now, who the fuck is creating a Facebook account in 2022, especially if you're in your late to mid 20s? No. That's boomer shit right there. So I should have known. But I thought, well, maybe I know her from somewhere. Maybe she's a family friend, or I went to school with a brother or a sister. I don't know. So I accepted. And the next day, she sent me a message. It was nice. Hey, how are you? And I wrote back, hey, I'm good. No offense, but how do I know you? And she said, well, no, you showed up on my Facebook account, and, so far so good. She said that she saw me. She friend requested me because she just started the Facebook. And again, that should have been a red flag, because who the fuck is just starting a Facebook account? So then we're starting to message back and forth, not long, maybe 10, 15 minutes, just, casual pleasantries. And then she got super sexual. Hey, what kind of hobbies do you like? I enjoy everything with sex. I need to get fucked all the time. And that's when I thought, whoa, what is this? And that's when I knew, okay, this is a fake account. No girl in their right mind on their first day, let alone the first hour talking to a male stranger online, is going to say, by the way, do you like having sex? I like having sex. I like to get fucked on the rig. Well, what are you talking about? So that's when I thought, okay, I'll play along. And I wrote back, yeah, who the hell doesn't? And then she said, well, are you alone? Yeah, let me send you some pics. And I'm thinking, okay, this is obviously a phony fake. But who doesn't like to see naked pics? So she sent me just a selfie of her, not naked, but just a selfie. And she did look different in the selfie than her profile. And I thought, okay, this is that. In any question I had about this girl just being super woke and super into her sexual femininity is gone, because it's not even the same person. And then she wanted to video. And now I've seen this before in the past. A lot of these videos that girls want to talk to you on, like, they don't want to take photos, they want to video you. Their mic never works, they tell you that, because it's pre-recorded. There's a pre-recorded video they play. You can't hear anything. They know if the video is on for you. And once the video was on, she was typing again. Oh, I'm sorry, my mic's not working. We were gonna have to type again. A fake ass bitch. And then she wanted to see my cock immediately. And I said, no, I'm not gonna show a stranger my penis. Then she called me gay. And I said, well, I must be the straightest gay man you've ever met because I'm watching the video here and I'm talking to you. And she said, only gay boys don't show me their penises or their cocks, whatever disgusting verbiage she used. And so I have never sent a dick pic to a girl in my life, save one. When I was with a serious relationship a couple of years ago, this ex-girlfriend of mine was getting pretty loopy with her friends, and she was trying to sext me while she was out with her friends, and I kept saying, okay, you're drunk, just have fun. And she kept wanting a dick pic. So, without any prep, I pulled my pants down to my little turtle head, and, I mean, my penis must have been a 1/4 inch long, and the head looked like a mushroom. That's all it was. It was a very ugly, not good, almost a micro penis looking thing I did, and he showed my little tiny balls. Like, it was not good to see. I sent it to her, said it was funny. She added a bow tie and a top hat and a cane and a little happy smiley face. It was a joke. It was a joke. So that's the only dick pic I have ever sent, and I actually have the edited photo on my phone. That's the photo I sent to this girl, and oh my god, if it's even a girl, this could be a Russian man for all I know that I'm texting. And then the insults kept coming, how I'm gay, I have a small penis, how I'm going to please her, and blah, blah, blah. And there was a little back and forth, but then I got tired of fucking with her. And then I said, okay, we're done here, and I deleted and blocked everything. Now, I do like fucking with those fake accounts because it gives me pleasure. It's fun. I like pissing them off because they're trying to exploit and fuck over people and probably get money, probably steal their shit. They probably want videos and pictures of their surroundings so that they can use it for AI nonsense and blah, 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 blah. But I did get kicked off Hinge for doing that exact same thing. I was talking to a quote-unquote woman on Hinge. She said that I needed to pay her to continue talking because she was a prostitute, but I forget the term she used. It wasn't prostitute. I wrote her back saying, no, you have this backwards. I'm the prostitute. You need to pay me money to keep talking with you. Then there was back and forth, and then an hour later, I was kicked off Hinge forever. So, oh God, the trials and tribulations of online dating. Jesus Christ. That's why I'm hoping that with all these Ukrainian refugees that are going to be pouring into this country soon, that I can find a wife, or maybe a multiple wives that way. I kid, but anyway, let's move on to how away from how my life is crumbling and how I'm doomed to be alone forever. No, I don't believe that. I just think I haven't met the right one. I say that now, but if I'm 40 years old and in the same predicament as I am now, well then, I don't know what to tell you. I may have to pull a Trump and just buy a wife from a third world loser country. Well, wherever Melania was from. Estonia? Goddamn, Estonia's got some of the hottest women. I don't know what it is about Eastern Europe. Their women are just 8s, 9s, and 10s. While their men, shit, I think the most hunk that ever hunked over there is only a 4 out of 10. So you poor Eastern European women are really getting the shit end of the stick. Maybe all the gorgeous men got killed in all those wars that Eastern Europe has had. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to some funner things, such as a Down syndrome model and some new releases that really perked me up over the last week. If you're a fan of good music, and I know that you are, why else would you listen to this podcast if you don't have good taste in music? Definitely check out a few new albums. The first one, I've talked about this band many times, is the indie dance and electronic group Bob Moses with their album The Silence in Between. Now, they've only released, I believe, 3 tracks. The album has not yet been fully released, but you need to check out Time and Time Again and Love Brand New. Good God, I've been playing those songs on repeat. Oh shit, ever since they came out. I love Bob Moses. And the other new release that I have just been jamming hard to is the new White Lies album, which is completely out now. You don't need to wait for it like you do the previous one. So the White Lies album is As I Try Not to Fall Apart. Now this is more synth wave, synth pop, alternative rock, alternative pop, kind of like 80s pop music like Tears for Fears and whatnot. They really is popular nowadays to make music that sounds like older genres, but tweaking it just enough to make it contemporary. And White Lies does it so good. St. Lucia is another one. I know I've talked about both of these bands a lot. Oh, and how can I forget? There is a third new release. My bad. The new Fontaines DC album is building up to be their best one yet. Now, I know. I was super excited about their last release, and I was a little disappointed by it. I think overall I give that album maybe a C+. But this new one, they've released, I think, 3 tracks, and all 3 tracks are goddamn bangers. So Fontaines DC, their new album is going to be called Skinty Fia. It's hard. It's an Irish slang. I don't know what that means. Skinty, Skinty, Fia, Fia. Now, Jackie Down the Line is the big song. I think that's their big single they're pushing. But they also released, and a hell of a music video did this too, the song simply called I Love You. It's not a love song about a person. I think it's more or less a love song about Ireland and the United Kingdom. I also want to shout out a re-release, not a re-release, but what do they call it? A extension release that has remixes and songs that didn't quite make the cut. B-sides. Boy, I work in music. You'd think I would know the lingo. But Tame Impala, probably my number 1, if not number 2, favorite musician of the last 20 years. It's a tie between Tame Impala and War on Drugs. But Tame Impala just released The Slow Rush, B-sides and remixes. It's okay. The song Patience and No Choice and The Boat I Row, those 3 tracks are money. Some of the remixes are kind of balls, but. The Breathe Deeper Lil Yachty remix, oh my god, my nipples get hard every time I think about it, and my dick gets hard when I listen to it. So, if you want to check out some new music that you've been just hankering for, some good tunes, check out those few releases there. I also got to give some props to the TV series Peacemaker. It's probably the best superhero action series I've seen in a long time. In fact, it's better. Well, maybe it's not better, but it's more entertaining than any of the Marvel TV shows. Well, Loki was really good. I'll tell you what, it's a close tie between Loki and Peacemaker. Completely different styles. But the way that they wrapped up the series, I think it could teach Marvel how to wrap up their series. So, big fan of Peacemaker. I'm on the new season of Search Party. It's not one of the better ones, but it's season 5. I've sat through the previous 4 seasons, and I've enjoyed 3 out of the 4 seasons. So this 5th one, is it necessary? I don't think so, but I'm only halfway through, so I got to give it more of a shot. And what else? I finished my second go around of Can't Get You Out of My Head, the Adam Curtis documentary series, which, again, broken record here, but I wish they would show that in every classroom across America. It's so important, especially what's happening right now between Russia and Ukraine. Oh, it really catches you up to why we got here. How did we get here? Last thing I want to talk about, at least what I have written down here, is that hot Victoria's Secret Down syndrome model. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be completely vulnerable here and probably be canceled for saying this. When I heard that Victoria's Secret was going to do their first Down syndrome model, I expected... I didn't expect much, I'll say that. Because, no offense to Down syndrome people, they're not models for a reason. Oh, God, even saying that makes me feel like an asshole. Trust me, I'm not trying to be a cunt here. So, when I heard that, I thought, yeah, right, this is more PC gone wild. Is there even a call for this? Who is saying, you know what, I was going to buy Victoria's Secret, but I changed my mind because they've never had a Down syndrome model. No one's ever said that. Just like I don't think anyone's ever said, well, I was going to buy some of their clothes, but they've never had a plus-size model. I don't think that exists. I think that's just companies trying to hedge their bets and cover their bases so that the few people on Twitter that have too much power don't come a-knocking for them. But anyway, her name is Sophia Giroux. Giroux. J-I-R-A-U. Sophia Giroux. And I got to tell you, she is smoking. If I saw her on a dating app, at a bar, at a friend's house, I automatically would make a beeline to her. And then probably on the 4th or 5th date, she would say, oh, by the way, I have Down syndrome. Is that a deal breaker? Fuck no. She is gorgeous. I mean, when you really study her, you can say, okay, well, I see a little bit of the Downsy, but you know what? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? And it was a teaching moment for me. I'm sure I wasn't the only man, let alone human being, that heard Victoria's Secret Down syndrome model and expected, ugh, do we really need this? I was pleasantly surprised. So my point is, don't be such a judgmental cunt right away. Give it a shot. You could be wrong. I was. Now I'm on the prowl for some hot downs. I'm kidding. But with that, I think we can wrap up here. This strange, bipolar-like episode we're having. So in closing, I have to admit, I've finally gotten sick and tired of my house. I've only been here for 2 years, but it's been hell. Well, okay, let's back up. It's not to be that dramatic. It hasn't been hell, but I'm kind of sick of the experiment. Buying this house was just that. I wanted to test myself. I wanted to test my resolve, my maturity, my manhood. I wanted to see if I could maintain such a large, luscious house. Mainly because I love the backyard. Well, I love the yards in general. And there's a lot to love about this house. However, I have definitely bitten off more than I can chew. I have constant anxiety about running out of money due to the upkeep of this house. I haven't done that, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but I still can't shake that feeling. Maybe it's because I was raised, but I always feel like I'm one bad decision away from ruining it my entire life and being out on the street doing fentanyl for fun. So I've been more or less looking at the pros and cons of selling the house in this red hot, insane in the membrane real estate market. I mean, already this house has tripled in value. And if I put it on the market within a month, I will probably quadruple my initial purchase price. At the very least, I have already got what I paid for it and then some. However, if I went to go buy another house right now, I would then lose the mass majority, if not all of the profit. So my game plan was, let me talk to my real estate buddy. Let me talk to some contractors. Maybe we need to put a grand or so of upkeep in this house of things that I don't know how to do. I don't know how to fix the sprinkler system issues. I don't know how to fix my front hose problem. I don't know how to change the battery of my garage door opener. And the list goes on and on and on. So if I invest a little bit of money in there, get all that shit fixed, hypothetically, I could list this house, sell it, and then move into an apartment or a condo or a townhome. Basically, I would be renting for either a year or so and wait for the market to drop or go down or just to become less fucking wild and less volatile. And then I can maybe buy a smaller home, my dream home. I now know, based on the two extremes of my condo and this house, now I know. And I want something in the middle. I don't need a 3-story, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage house. I don't need that. That's insane. It's such a waste. There's families out there that need this house more than I do. It's just unnecessary. And if I'm being dramatic, it's quite vulgar that it's just me and a cat living here. On the flip side, the condo I came from was a little too small. So now I know. And I've been lucky enough with my finances so that I can do this. But I'm not going through with this all right now. What I'm going to do is make a list of things that I need to be addressed by a contractor. Then I can start looking at, well, what are the rents like for apartments or townhomes or condos? Because if my mortgage and utilities and everything add up to, I'll just pull a number out of my ass, $2,500 a month, well, I'd like to split that in half. Can I get a decent value for renting for about $1,800 a month and not live in some ghetto piece of shit where I'm going to get stabbed by a homeless fentanyl addict on the way to the car? I don't know if that exists. And I know that I don't want to move to Seattle or Bellevue because I know no matter what, I can't afford it to live out there, nor would I want to. So, if anything, I'm just kind of dipping my toe into all of this. I still do like this house, but it's becoming a mausoleum to me. And I know the pandemic has played a giant part in my thinking about this because I'm here all the time. I leave the house every now and then, but it's just me here, hearing my voice echo off of these empty walls. So now if I had a wife or a fiance or a lady friend here all the time, it'd be a little different. If I had a family, of course, it'd be a perfect scenario. But for a single guy living in this fucking giant of a mansion of a house, it's just gross. I wish I could just give this to a family in need, but I'm selfish and I do want money, so. What can I say? I am an American after all. So, yes, I think the experiment may be coming to an end. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know if this World War III is going to complicate things. I don't know. So I may just do some research and then decide, well, let's just hold off a little bit. Maybe I'm just a week or two or a month away from meeting that special someone. And if I sell the house and I'm in the process of moving to a little apartment, I could have missed a golden opportunity. We'll see what happens. If you want to give me your opinion, shoot. I'm all ears. But with that, I think we can wrap up. I love y'all. Take it sleazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And for the love of God, don't just sit in front of the news and let your mind be turned to mush. I believe you need to be well informed. You have to be kept up to date with what's going on. But once you start to be depressed, anxious, you start to lose sleep, you even start to have maybe suicidal thoughts, you need to talk to someone and you need to back off. It's no good for anyone for you to feel like this. Unfortunately, at this time, there's nothing we as average American citizens can do to help end this Ukraine-Russian crisis. I would be even skeptical of giving money to so-called charities right now. I know a lot of them are scams. They popped up immediately wanting funds to help fight this injustice. This is going to go straight to Ukrainian people. Well, I'm sorry, but we don't know this is sanctioned by Ukraine or even if it's secure or safe or real. Just use your base judgment. Use common sense if you have any. Don't be fooled, because this is how people take advantage of people. But anyway, if your heart's in the right place, hopefully your mind will follow. That sounds deep a little bit. I don't know. But with that, I think we're done here. So I love y'all. See you guys on the flip side. Peace in the Ukraine. Fuck you, Russia. I hope someone offs Putin. Some hero. Wouldn't it be great if some Russian just says, you know what, enough's enough. Some 20-year-old Russian just murks Putin. Oh, how lovely would that be? I think we can end it on that happy note. See you bitches later.